So yesterday I uploaded a breakdown and discussion of the developer update video, and there were a few important things I overlooked. In my excitement, I failed to realize some very interesting changes to photo mode and some very obvious clues regarding future villagers. Now, we've already covered both of these topics in great detail over on Twitch, but I wanted to make sure I shared my thoughts with you all here on YouTube as well. Before we get started, consider dropping a like on the video as it helps me out tremendously, and consider subscribing for more Disney Dreamlight Valley and gaming content. And with that, let's get to it. Alright, so the funny thing is, I was so focused on Peter Pan's avatar yesterday that I didn't even realize this was in photo mode. Like, I was completely ignoring the menu, just pretending it wasn't there. Anyway, once I went live, I saw several people discussing how we'll finally be able to sit down in photo mode, which of course made me go back and review the footage. And while I found the seated pose very exciting and very interesting, there's actually something even more intriguing in this image: a curious new menu option. Now, at first, I had a few people guessing that this was the new button or option to perform a seated pose, but that didn't really make sense to me. Wouldn't the icon for an option like that be a chair or a seated figure? Why is there a question mark? Do we have to ask the chair permission? Why is there a little frame around the image? In fact, this new icon seems to carry the same design as the other camera mode icons like selfie mode, portrait mode, and free mode. And speaking of which, selfie mode appears to be absent from the list of options in the top right corner. Not to worry though, because I think I can explain what's happening here. Aside from the seated avatar, new buttons, and lack of selfie mode, do you notice anything else strange about this photo? If you haven't guessed yet, it's that Peter Pan is the subject of this portrait mode style shot. Currently, when using your camera in portrait mode, the avatar is always placed as the subject, which puts them in the dead center of the photo, unless of course they use a pose like the dragon pose to shift themselves left a little. Never before have we had a portrait mode option for our villagers, and I think that's what we're seeing here. I believe the new button is a new portrait mode option that focuses on the villager you're hanging out with rather than your avatar. This would also explain why the selfie option is unavailable, as the selfie feature is not intended for villagers. At least, maybe not yet. Now, to some, this might not be a huge deal, but consider the possibilities a mode like this could bring. Imagine a Peter Pan Dreamsnap challenge, where we highlight Peter Pan as the subject and hide our avatar using the new camera options. Like, at this point, we're literally going to start creating Disney movie posters or something. Honestly, I can't wait to see what people come up with regarding this new option. Of course, the ability to sit down in photo mode is still really exciting. I'm certainly not trying to downplay it, as this new feature opens a wide array of possibilities, angles, and shots. I'm just a bit more excited to highlight villagers. So how will this new icon work exactly? Well, I'm thinking we'll probably just toggle through our camera modes the same way, and that this will just be a new addition. As far as which villager this new mode highlights, it'll most likely just work with whoever you're hanging out with. At least that's what makes the most sense to me. Now, it also appears that despite highlighting or making the villager the subject of the photo, we still won't really be able to control the villager's facial expressions or poses. As seen in the footage here, Peter Pan is the subject of the photo, but when the developer selects facial expressions, it impacts the avatar, not the villager. With all of that said, what do you think? Am I completely wrong about this new camera button? Is there something else in play here that I missed? Or does this sound like exactly what we should expect to see on June 18th? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now let's move on to the next thing I missed. And to be honest, this is a little embarrassing. Looking back at these clues, they were super obvious and I don't know how I missed them. So we guessed joy and sadness for summer, and Cinderella is obviously coming in the winter. But who's the enchanted duo coming in autumn? Well, we know they're tied to a realm we've already received, and that's one major clue, but there are two more clues to make it even more obvious. A candlestick on the table and a clock against the back wall. That's right, the enchanted duo, the candlestick and the clock. It has to be Lumiere and Cogsworth. I think what threw me off yesterday was seeing that particular wallpaper from Anna and Kristoff's house. I thought it had something to do with them, and I just couldn't figure out who else we could expect to see from the Frozen realm. Though after discussing it on Twitch and having the clock and the candles pointed out, it was painfully obvious and I felt a bit silly. So yeah, I'm expecting Joy and Sadness in late summer, Lumiere and Cogsworth in autumn, and finally Cinderella in winter. So would you agree with these estimations? Or are you expecting something a bit different from the roadmap? Let me know in the comments below. Regardless of whether any of this speculation is wrong or right, one thing is certain. There's a lot to look forward to concerning Disney Dreamlight Valley, and we're gonna have plenty to talk about over the next coming weeks. If you found today's video helpful, informative, or simply entertaining, please do me a very big favor and press that like button. Also, consider subscribing for more Disney Dreamlight Valley and gaming content. If you'd like to catch more of my content, you can find me live on Twitch, Monday through Friday. Links to both my Twitch channel and Discord server can be found in the video description down below. As always, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you enjoy the future of Disney Dreamlight Valley.